right, so I'm a grocer, and I'm passionate about finance, and I love to help people. And I'm trying to find a way to find a career that I could combine all that in. And the first thing that comes to mind is Adam Smith. I guess the system of capitalism we operate today was framed by Adam Smith in his book, The Wealth of Nations, in 1776, right when we were forming our country and figuring out how we were going to do things. And I think it was clear that there were always going to be people that did better and people that didn't do as well. And we know that there were going to be people that live in poverty. And I want to assure you that much of the world has done well with capitalism, and still millions of people in Asia are pulling themselves into the middle class with capitalism. But at the same time, something does seem to be wrong. Because poverty in this country, by the way, this is in Baltimore City, in the food desert there, Howard Park, if you know Baltimore City. This is a supermarket that's been closed about 25 years. It was the only supermarket they had, and still to this day, there is no place to buy fresh food. This kind of poverty, what's happened in recent times, it's led to a level of social dysfunction, which makes it hard to exist. And it seems like, unlike poverty we've seen in the past, that many families are stuck in this poverty and can't get out. And this social dysfunction, besides a tremendous burden on people, is a tremendous burden on the infrastructure. Infrastructure like industries and schools, government even, seems to have trouble existing in this environment. And I want to talk in particular about how this multi-generational poverty, which has created a downward spiral, has affected an industry that I know a lot about, the grocery business. So as this cycle whirls around, making it hard for people to escape poverty, it has a horrible effect on many industries. The grocery industry, interestingly enough, the whole business model of a grocery store sort of counts on people having enough means to buy more expensive things that allows us to sell the less expensive things that we don't really make a margin on. And when you're serving people that are of less means, that whole business model gets messed up. And then when you add into it all the social dysfunction, high school dropout rate in Philadelphia being 40, or Baltimore, many cities being 40 or 50%, gun violence and homicide, teen pregnancy, all of these things have a cost to business that tries to serve people of modest means. And this grocery gap essentially is the broken thing in capitalism that caused all the grocery stores to end up like this one. So the question is, how can we fix this problem? Because without a grocery store that sells fresh food at a reasonable price, people are in the inner city and even in rural areas are getting morbidly obese to have even a much greater cost on the healthcare system and on the prospects of them living productive lives. So in this location, one of our business activities, we have a partnership in Baltimore. This is our second store. And we are going to build a 70,000 square foot brand new ShopRite supermarket in this location. And I will tell you the odds of us being successful there are very, very high. So the question is, what are we doing to make almost a miracle like that happen in places all over that's different than how the industry normally approaches it? And there's three major areas. One is gap mitigation. The grocers have this gap. It's about 5% of sales. Instead of making our normal 1% profit, we lose 4%. And gap mitigation, we've learned, is a science and an art form that involves being smart about using public incentives, being smart about how you operate your business. And we've become quite adept at figuring that out. The second thing is impact capital. Because when I take bankers to Howard Park to show them the wonderful opportunity we have, not a lot of them get a big smile on their face right away or see the vision that I have for this community. And often it is the people that are very heavily focused on an impact that will look beyond what's there now and could sort of see the vision I have for what this might be like. And I can tell you early on in this work, I used CDFIs to finance these stores. And the CDFIs often got impact investments from the Methodist Pension Fund or from some of the foundations in this room. And the third thing is entrepreneurial innovation. I think entrepreneurship and the whole free enterprise system has the potential to be so much more magnificent than what it often is when it comes to serving the poor. And I want to take you through how we use sort of entrepreneurial innovation to reinvent how a supermarket could operate in a place like Howard Park. The first thing is, unlike a suburban supermarket business, where sort of everyone knows how it works, it's pretty much the same everywhere, these are different type of communities with different kind of challenges. And we're going to ask people to not be stuck in that social dysfunction that they're in and work hard to treat us differently so we can be successful together. And our format of doing that is large community meetings, town hall style meetings where me or other of my team will go up and explain our idea of what we want to do in their community and solicit feedback. And often these things are 2-3 hours, and sometimes we attract 1,500 or more people until the police tell us we're not allowed to let any more people in. And we will sit there and hammer it out, and of course it usually starts out with them telling me that people that look like me haven't always been helpful to them. They don't exactly say it that nicely in the beginning, but we eventually warm up to each other. The next thing is we take a look at the infrastructure that exists in a particular location. What's pretty interesting about the poor is they really count on public infrastructure. Where the buses are, where the trolleys are, where the welfare department is, where are the resources that help them to exist. And it's silly to do this work without being real smart about being right with those resources. So in all of our work, we're always mapping, what are the most highly traveled bus lines or trolley lines, and where's the things that we're going to count on to make a successful business. And if they don't exist, can we get them to exist before we would invest? The next thing is we put up a magnificent store. A lot of the poor I work with measure their success in life compared to what they see in the suburbs. They've been to suburban supermarkets, and if you put something less than what they see, they feel bad about that. And it's important that we have a beautiful store that's designed to serve them. The next thing is, this whole thing doesn't make sense unless they run the store. And so that's a whole skill set to figure out how to take the least able to work and make them into fabulous supermarket food system workers that make their homemade recipes from scratch, that run these stores. Even within a year or two, management comes from the local community. And we have worked with a number of nonprofits, and our own nonprofit has put together systems to expedite the time and quality. We take a person from high school dropout, formerly incarcerated, family troubles, to outstanding supermarket work. The next thing is every community we go into has its nuances, and very few of the communities we go into are the typical Caucasian middle income type of community. They're different, and the people are different, and they come from all over the world, and what's important to them is different, what they eat is different. They have sometimes religious guidelines and other things that are important to them, and through these town hall type community meetings we learn about that. And this is an example that in one of the stores we have a heavy Muslim population. They're African American Muslims, and so we have 2 meat rooms in this particular store. And this one sells halal meat, and the imams in the area and I collaborate on who the vendors are, and who's involved, and how we do it. And each of the cultures we serve, we have figured out a way to bring this kind of customized solution. The next thing is, everywhere that people prey on the poor, they take away resources to live a productive life. And so, just to me, why we're there already, for just a little bit more work and a little bit more cost, we can eliminate so much wasted resources being squandered on predators. And so the first thing we attack is financial services. In all of our urban stores, you'll see 2 solutions, sort of a very plain, non-commitment, buy a little service for a little price, like come pay your bills electronically, come buy a money order, come do Western Union, or buy stamps. And there's not a big commitment. And of course, our bigger commitment is we partnered with a credit union that offers a proposition that you can have an account without any wealth. The account stays open, you don't pay a monthly charge, you don't pay for checks, and you don't pay ATM fees, and all of a sudden, there's no reason not to have an account, and there's no reason to use a check cashing store or a payday lender. And that's the point. And what's important about that, it's in a beautiful new store that's safe, that it's popular in our stores to take advantage of these things. And this credit union has lines 7 days a week. So it's nothing wrong with the people that they can't figure out what a good proposition is. And they purport to me that this has turned out to be a good financial proposition for them because of the tremendous volume they're doing in such a small amount of square feet with such a small overhead. So we were able to do it in financial services. We figured, you know, let's tackle healthcare. And a little over a year ago, we opened our first Einstein Health Clinic. Einstein's a big health system in Philadelphia. This is a nurse practitioner-run health clinic. We're partners with the health system, but we designed the clinic like a retail service. And our idea is that a lot of the people don't have access to doctors' offices. They overuse emergency rooms in a way that's not good for society or themselves. And this clinic now sees about 20 patients a day with about a 24 or 25 patient a day break even. And when they have a more severe illness, they get them to the right spot in the system. Tremendous investment opportunities in there. Next to the clinic, we now added entitlement advocacy. So if you don't have SNAP and you're entitled to it, we help you get it. The same with all the other entitlements. And we've recently added health and nutrition education. We have all the Medicaid health insurers now contribute to teach classes in our stores. And finally, while we're at it, local farms are starting to crop up in the city. And we think instead of worrying about how do you get it from grown products to people, we sell those products and have figured out a business model to do it. So we could go on, but I think you're getting the sense we didn't accept the business model that existed. And we've designed this holistic community hub that we sort of solve every problem we notice. And you know what's interesting about it? When you have a little love for your customers, you treat them with respect, it's a pretty good business thing too. And you'll find that our sales volume per store are among the very highest of any supermarket in the country. That work led us to start Uplift Solutions about 4 years ago. In the last couple of years, I think we've served clients in about half the states, and we basically want to take our business model and spread it to the rest of the country. So we're looking for grocery entrepreneurs, we're looking for cities and states, looking for foundations and nonprofits to help spread this model. And you see, everything you saw on that last slide, we offer help to do it. Finally, a good friend of mine, Jeremy Nowak, I don't know if you know Jeremy, but he was the founder of the Reinvestment Fund. Jeremy and I, about a decade ago, with some others, started the Pennsylvania Fresh Food Financing Initiative. Our idea was to come up with an impact investing tool that could help mitigate some of the gap and finance these grocery stores. If you haven't read about it, you should. It's been a magnificent success, funding about 90 grocery stores all over the state. And a lot of our work at Uplift is working with these funds, with these CDFI funds, to do this kind of thing. And what we noticed is there's a pretty big gap here and an opportunity for people in this room to do something. What we noticed is there are a number of really good CDFIs in the country, but the vast majority of the geography does not have a CDFI that could underwrite a grocery store deal. And even where they have a fabulous CDFI, they're pretty much debt funds. And sometimes the gap is so big, debt won't get you there alone. And so Jeremy and I are teaming up together to start a very flexible capital offering that would have debt, sub-debt, and regular debt that we could combine in different levels to fund supermarket deals. We would work in collaboration with other CDFIs in the grocery industry. And included in our deals would be the technical expertise that we've come to develop and Uplift. So before a deal, during a deal, after a deal, if there's problems, we can help the grocers make those businesses successful. I think that we're upon a time where impact investing really is the thing we need. I mean, people are making grants to nonprofits like Uplift and other nonprofits that have advocated for funds to do this work. But we're at the point to do the heavy lifting. I mean, I think we're the country short about 1,000 grocery stores, maybe 100 or 200 of my size, big ones with big impacts. And most of that financing needs to come in the form of money that has to get paid back. The philanthropic community cannot grant their way to solve this entire problem. I mean, the grants are wonderful and they're a big help and they're needed. But we need to bring in impact capital, and we need to bring it in a big way. And because you're basically dealing in circumstances that ordinarily would have greater risk, would be more difficult to finance, I think it's important that we reduce our risk by bringing in real expertise. And that's why the idea of Jeremy and I starting a food access only fund that would have the ability to add a very rich amount of technical assistance, due diligence up front, based on the expertise of real grocers. And I think that's a way that we could use impact investing and do aggressive things but not take big losses. And I would love to work with the people in this room, the foundations in the country that really would want to make a difference, because I think this would be very important work. So we're at a point in our existence that the sort of traditional ways to solve problems don't seem to be getting us there. And I think that we're upon a major problem that has a solution. And I could see it. I could see this problem. I could see these stores being added. We know that they work. I mean, I built a supermarket business that's significant. ShopRite is now the leading supermarket in Philadelphia. It's a commercial success. And at the same time, it has this incredible impact on underprivileged people's lives. And it really takes us away from that downward spiral and gives people hope. And it gives us all the opportunity that people can live independent lives and not be dependent on the government for necessities. And I think this is our time. We have a problem that can be solved. This is our time to solve this problem. We look forward to doing it together.